King Arthur, Legend of the Sword is a fantasy action-adventure that tells the story of King Arthur and how he rose to the power of becoming the new King of Camelot and taking out his corrupt uncle who has since taken over the kingdom after the death of his father. Directed by Guy Ritchie, the film stars Charlie Hunnam in the title role with Jude as the villain. And going into this film, I wasn't, really excited or anything. I was kind of a little bit like, I didn't really know how to feel because the trailers, some of the trailers I liked, but then some of the trailers were a little bit like, it kind of felt like the studio didn't really know what they had in their hands and how to market the film. So I was like, is it going to be a bit of a mess? Is it going to be that great? I really hope it is, because I'm a big fan of Guy Ritchie. I'm a big fan of his kind of style of filmmaking. I do love all of his films. I love what he brought to the Sherlock Holmes movies that he did a few years back. So going to this film, I was looking forward to it. I was excited, but I was a little kind of trepidatious and I was a little kind of anxious and nervous at the same time. But overall, I'm actually pleasantly surprised with this movie. Now, is it the greatest film ever? No, it's not like absolutely amazing. I'm not making a song and dance about it, but it was actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be. And I thought, for the most part, it was pretty solid entertainment and it was actually pretty good fun. Like I said, it's not the best film ever. It's not without its flaws or without its problems. I did have some little issues with it here and there, but on the most part, I thought it was actually a pretty damn good time and I actually enjoyed myself watching this movie. Now, getting into positives, of course, the direction by Guy Ritchie was a big highlight for me. Like I said, I'm a big fan of Guy Ritchie and I love what he brings to his films and the kind of the style of filmmaking that he implements and just the visuals and how he shoots his movies. I love what he brought to those Sherlock Holmes movies. They were very kind of visually unique and you could really tell they were kind of Guy Ritchie films. And again, he does the same thing here with this movie, and the best way I can put it is, if you like what Guy Ritchie did for the Sherlock Holmes movies, I think you'll like what he does here. He basically does for King Arthur what he did for Sherlock Holmes. I really love what Guy Ritchie does with the camera. He's always experimenting, he's always doing really cool, new, different, interesting things. It never looks boring, no matter what you think about Guy Ritchie, even if you're not a big Guy Ritchie fan. You can't deny the fact that his movies always are really cool and crazy and interesting to look at from a visual perspective. Because in terms of the way he shoots his movies, you did the same kind of thing with Sherlock Holmes. We've got that chase through the forest in that second movie where the camera's like going up close, it's going far away, and it's going fast speed and it's going slow motion. And just a similar kind of thing here in the scenes where kind of Arthur's got the sword, and it's really cool. I love how he filmed the action scenes in this movie. I thought it was going to be a bit of a kind of just a generic, just okay kind of action movie, but the action scenes in which King Arthur's kind of got the sword and he's got the power of Excalibur were really cool to watch. It does something really cool and unique in terms of the power that Arthur gets when he's wielding the sword, and also how Guy Ritchie shoots it. I love what he did. I think he used kind of phantom cameras, and in that the camera's going in and out, it's going all over the place, it's going really fast and it's slowing down, it's going crazy, and it's really cool to look at. It's really cool and different and interesting and really fun to watch. And also there's a particular sequence as well when they're escaping from this town and they're running away, and there's like cameras actually mounted on the guy's shoulders where you can just see their faces like running down the street. And I love things like that. I love what Guy Ritchie's always experimenting with kind of new styles of filmmaking and how he kind of does these really cool, interesting shots. All the visuals and how the action sequences were handled was a really big positive of this movie, because I loved all that stuff. And of course the performances by the actors. I mean, there's not any kind of like Oscar-worthy performances in here, but I think everyone did really great jobs in the roles that they were given. I'm a big fan of Charlie Hunnam. Is he the greatest actor? No, he's not one of the best actors working today or anything, but I do like Charlie Hunnam. I liked him in Pacific Rim. I thought it was great in The Lost City of Zed, and I really liked it here as well. It really suited this kind of contemporary kind of almost like edgy version of King Arthur, where he's this almost kind of like a young kind of rebellious kind of a teenager almost. It's kind of like almost an origin story for King Arthur. I mean, it practically is, and I really liked him in that role. It was a very different interpretation of King Arthur and these characters in this mythology, but I loved the kind of contemporary kind of edgy spin on it. Again, it's another thing that I love what Guy Ritchie brought to this. It was kind of classic mythology of the kind of the epic kind of fantastical Arthurian mythology mixed with these kind of gritty street level kind of fight scenes there, and you think it would be a bit of a kind of tonal mishmash from all over the place, but it wasn't. I think it meshed together really well, and I think it was balanced together really well, where it all felt like one film, one kind of consistent style and vision there. And I think the actors were all really great in conveying their characters. There's lots of really great talent in this film. I think Jude Law is really good as the villain. We also get the actress playing the mage, who's one of kind of Merlin's kind of apprentices, I think, if you will. She's got this kind of magical power. She was really cool, and that's another thing actually that I really liked about this film. All the fantastical elements. There's a lot of magic and a lot of fantasy elements in this film. Because some of the early trailers made it look like it was going to be really kind of like ultra realistic and not have any magic at all. But it's probably got the most magic out of any King Arthur movie I've ever seen. Literally from the get-go, it's like almost like something from Lord of the Rings or something. I mean, it's nowhere near as good as that, but it almost is like watching some kind of epic, fantastical action scene from Lord of the Rings. They really go for it. They don't hold back on the fantasy elements, and I love that because it was both kind of a gritty, kind of contemporary, realistic take on the mythology, whilst at the same time having all these kind of epic, fantastical elements from the Arthurian mythology. I'm a real sucker for fantasy films, and I loved all the fantasy elements in here. Like I said, the mage who's got these kind of magical powers, she was really cool. They had a lot of fantasy elements, but it never went too far. There was never too much, I think there was a nice balance there between kind of it feeling gritty and contemporary and edgy and modern and realistic in a way, whilst at the same time still having all these kind of fantastical magical elements. I really loved how they kind of balance those two things together. However, getting into negatives here, and I do have some negatives with this film. For the most part, I enjoyed it and I thought it was a really good movie. I thought it was entertaining and I had a good time, but there were some problems I did have. Particularly at the beginning of the movie, there were some very strange editorial choices where it would just suddenly cut away and it would just keep cutting them back and forth between kind of different things going on in different locations in a very kind of jarring manner. Like it almost felt like this scene was over and we just cut away and then it would cut back, and it's like it was a little bit all over the place. It was a little bit of a mess to begin with, but I can kind of forgive it for that because even though it was a bit of an iffy start, I feel like I did enjoy the opening of the film. I thought it was a cool action scene, but it felt a little bit of a mess. It felt a little clunky. It felt a little bit kind of just all over the place, like they were in a bit of a rush. And obviously they don't shoot movies in chronological order, but it almost felt like they did. And, at the beginning it was like, oh, they didn't really know how to do it or what they had in their hands. But then as it went on, it got better and it kind of improved for me. Another one of the negatives I have is that toward the beginning of the movie, there were some attempts at humour that don't really work. But then as the movie progressed, as it went on, it seemed to kind of find its stride and it kind of found its rhythm, and from that moment on it kind of like all the humour seemed to land and it seemed to be kind of confident and comfortable in what it was, and they knew what it was, and they kind of it seemed to kind of get better and improve as the movie went on. So even though I had some problems at the beginning in terms of it felt a bit of a mess, it felt a little bit all over the place, a little bit clunky, some strange choices in the editing there, some humour didn't seem to land. I was like, oh, if this carries on, I'm not sure if I can give this a positive review, but luckily those kind of problems for me didn't really stick and last. It seemed to actually get better and improve as it went on, and those kind of problems seemed to kind of fade away for me. Not entirely, but for the most part it did actually get a lot better and a lot tighter and a lot sharper and a lot more efficient and a lot more confident in that they knew what it was as it went on. So I'm glad that was the case, because I was like, oh god, is this gonna plague the whole movie? But fortunately, it was only kind of more kind of the beginning of the movie, and those kind of problems kind of went away as the movie went on. I have a couple of other little nitpicks as well. There were some music choices that I liked, and it's another way to kind of try to make it feel up to date and contemporary. They had these modern songs in there, and I think it worked. I liked the songs that they used, and when they came in, I think it worked. But it seemed like, from what I'm aware, unless I'm forgetting, it seemed like there was only like 2 or 3 songs in there. So when a song came on, I liked it. I think it fit well. But because there wasn't that much kind of modern music in the film, whenever a song did suddenly come on, I was like, whoa, it was a little jarring. It kind of took me out a bit, because I was like, oh, we're doing this again. Okay, I like the song. I think it's fitting well. But because there was only like 2 or 3 songs in the movie, from what I can remember, maybe there were more, but every time a song came on, I was like, okay, we're doing this again. Oh, I completely forgot we had modern music in this film. Okay, it kind of works, but it's been quite a while since we had the last modern song. It did seem a little jarring in a respect, but I did like the music and I think it fit well. It's just because there wasn't that much kind of modern songs in the film, I don't think. So when one did suddenly come back around, it was like, oh, okay, we're doing this again. All right, it kind of works, I guess. And also my final little nitpick is that it kind of hit a bit of a lull halfway through. I kind of think the pace in the movie was pretty good, but about halfway through, it kind of like hit a bit of a lull, and I can know this because a lot of people just started to leave and go to the toilet then. So it's like, I'm guessing this is the bit of the lull in the middle, but it quickly picked back up. So I think for the most part, I think the pacing was good. I think just that portion in the middle of the film could have been tightened up a bit, could have been a bit sharper, but other than that, I think it was pretty well paced, and I never got bored or lost interest watching this movie. So overall, King Arthur Legend of the Sword was actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be. It was actually surprisingly entertaining, and I actually had a good time with this. Even though I did have some problems with the movie and some things that I think kind of let it down a bit, the negatives that I had didn't negate the positives that I had. For the most part, I thought it was solid entertainment, and I actually enjoyed myself watching this movie. So overall, I'm going to give King Arthur Legend of the Sword 4 stars. If you go into this film expecting some kind of serious, kind of Oscar-worthy, epic, historical drama, you're going to be disappointed. It's good, but it's good as a big, fun action movie. So if you go in expecting some serious, historical epic, you're going to be disappointed. But if you go in expecting a big, fun, entertaining, fantasy action movie, I think you'll actually enjoy this movie and have a pretty good time. So there we have it. That wraps up my review of King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. Have you seen the film yet? And if so, what do you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, if you like this and you haven't already, be sure to click subscribe to see more. And if you missed my last film review, be sure to go ahead and click over here to catch up on my last film review, or perhaps down here to watch another one of my recent videos. But with that said, I've been David O'Sullivan. I'll see you next time.